Hi everyone, and welcome to yet another very unprofessional and quick energy update. My channel is going down the rabbit hole quite fast, I'm not gonna lie. At this time, I do kind of realize that this is not gonna help me survive because, it's kind of unsupportable. It has like zero entertainment value, so who would wanna support the channel just for some spiritual talk, forecasts, and astrological aspects? But while I still can, I will just share the information, the guidance, the wisdom the universe shares with me. So until I can close it, I'll just share the information that the universe also shares with me. Sharing is caring after all. Before I start, I would just like to say a big, massive thank you from the bottom of my heart to absolutely anyone who supported my channel and helped it grow to what it is right now, even though it's nothing amazing, it's not really impressive, but it still exists. So once again, thank you so very much for helping me get this far. Now let's begin the reading. Usually I take a look at how the energy is likely to play out collectively and then individually. This week it's really funny because the whole reading starts with the message that this is one of those periods, this is one of those weeks where the universe actually advises us, guides us, invites us to forget that there is even something external. The universe advises that this is one of those weeks where we truly have to be as present as possible in our own unique life stories. And for very many of us, the healthy way of doing that is detaching ourselves from what is going on in the world right now. This is one of those weeks when we get empowered energetically in a very considerable way by the astrological aspect. So basically, it's almost like the universe is handing down to us free energy. It is an energy which we may not perceive like physically, like extra vitality, extra willpower, extra, mental, intellectual, emotional energy. So it's not that kind of very physical, alive energy, but it's rather like a very profound psychological empowerment where our sovereign wills, our willpower, what we choose to do with our intention, with basically the whole energy of our being at this moment will matter very much. This is almost like as if we would be invited into a theater or let's say a cinema, but there would be two shows running simultaneously before us, and the only way to immerse ourselves into a show, any show, is to choose between the two. Now those two shows, one is our own life stories, which of course is extremely subjective. It is what is going on for us in our own personal sphere, and the other one is what is going on in the world stage, what's going on collectively, what's going on with everything external that might be influencing us one way or another. But this is the moment when we just cannot split our attention. We have to choose which show we focus on, which show we get immersed into, and that is where our intention is going to manifest. Now, of course, let's say those individuals who have done an excellent job with everything in their lives until this present moment, of course, they are free to choose the world show and use their strength and blessings to influence that area. But those of us who are still struggling with a lot of things, a lot of issues, relationships, money, career, whatever in our personal lives, are quite wise to choose our life stories and detach from whatever happens in the world, because detachment at this point just make sure that where we're gonna invest our energy, our intention, our focus into is gonna work for us personally and not necessarily be leeching our energy and this divine blessing so it manifests on the external reality. So this is one of the most important messages of this Hermit reverse. This is where a lot of things will play out in that area where we choose actively. So either our personal subjective life stories or the collective, that which we share with everyone and everyone shares with us. And even if many of us are people who would really like to share our blessings with everyone, this is one of those weeks when everything, our inner forces, our instincts, our intuition will just tell us, focus on our lives, focus on our stories. This is the moment when we truly matter. The choices that we make really, really matter, even where our thoughts, our dreams, our contemplation goes to, because all of that is energy. So this is when we have to be really, really self-conscious, and not necessarily because there is any danger or any counterindication, but rather, when we're given a gift, this is the moment when we truly have to use it in the wisest way possible, because it will get things done very, very quickly and efficiently. So besides this, the other message of this Hermit reverse represents that this can be one of those weeks, one of those moments of this year when a lot of inner work that we have already done meticulously with perseverance and ambition is gonna be paying off. Because this also comes as a blessing of clarity, and the more inner work we have done all throughout this year or the past couple of years, it kind of trained us to be able to identify it either instinctually, intuitively, or simply through our rationality and logic, what resonates with us, with who it is that we are, with how our lives are, and of course the person we want to be in the future, and what doesn't. And when I say what, this can be a person, an opportunity, an offer, an option that becomes available. It can be absolutely anything, as long as we know the true meaning, and not necessarily in a very intellectual, conceptual way, but rather in a practical way, what resonance feels like, how it works like, what it is for us, and how it guides our lives. And why this is so very important at this time, well, the Magician and the Nine of Pentacles, that is almost self-explanatory. Our intention, what is very, very important to us, and not necessarily just in the present moment, but what has been important to us up until now, what we have been trying to figure out, focus on, concentrate on, work with, solve, or find help, let's say, with. Especially if these are highly personal issues, well, this week that can change drastically, almost miraculously, not necessarily as a gesture of divine kindness and grace and benevolence, but rather it is based on logic, how the universe works. You worked on this, you concentrated on this, you made sacrifices, you had moments of maximum honesty with yourself, the Hermit. You also accepted losses, you accepted wounds, bruises, conflictual situations which disadvantaged you. You also practiced a lot of forgiveness, detachment, and basically understanding others, regardless if that is a person from your distant past who really hurt you or did something negative to you, or if it's just a current relationship which is affecting you in a negative way. This Hermit kind of represents that you learned to put yourself in another person's position and see life and everything through their lens, And that's how you reached understanding. Even if someone hurt you or disadvantaged you or did something bad to you, you now cannot simply blame them or accuse them or feel a certain way, because you kind of understand that basically everyone is a victim of life, of circumstances. Some people have wounds of their own which are really hard to process, and that's why they become ignorant to other people's pain, etc. That's how they cannot reciprocate certain emotional care or understanding or love that is being shared with them. And all of these things already helped you immensely, just that perhaps it takes one of these very karmic and active and energetically empowering weeks for us to be able to objectively see how much the inner work, how much profound understanding truly matters in our lives. And when certain emotions or emotional blockages no longer get in our way, our beings just have so much more energy to tap into, because that pain, that hurt, that bad memory, that hard feeling, heavy feeling, does no longer suck up your energy to keep itself in existence. It just becomes a chemical imprint in the brain, a memory. It happened and that's it. It's no longer alive. So even when, for example, your physical energy is kind of low, you have a reservoir to tap into. You can just transmute that freed emotional energy into stamina and endurance. And what a lot of us are going to be doing with these free energies, and also with the energetic blessing that is being bestowed on us, well, we are going to fix an area of our lives where we are not as, let's say, independent, free, self-sufficient as we would like to be, as it would be ideal, or as it would suit the person who we are today, right now, in this very moment. And this is also a massive psychological boost, because whenever that issue is being resolved, or at least even when you just have an outlook, even when you can make sense rationally, logically, of how you can fix the situation, and you have options, you have opportunities, you have choices, even that simple fact just makes you feel like the king of your own castle, where yes, there are problems, yes, things are not very ideal, but at least you can fix it, you have power over it, you have a word over it, an influence, a saying, and that already makes you feel powerful, that already makes you feel self-sufficient, that already basically makes you embrace your sovereignty, the emperor. And also, the star reverse is even more important than perhaps all the other cards, because this represents that you try to fix or solve or transform, let's say, or for some people even eliminate this situation from your life, regardless of which area it is. You know, that 9 of Coins energy, which kept you from feeling independent, successful, being the king of your own castle. Or this can also represent, 9 of Coins, single and proud, where we might have been single, but the pride definitely wasn't there. So anyway, what matters is that we try to solve this situation for quite some time now, but not only were we not very successful, but maybe our efforts, whatever it is that we tried, didn't pay off at all, and that's how we may have misjudged this situation as hopeless, the star reversed, false hope or hopelessness, or maybe it was not in the divine plan, not in the divine will, maybe not towards our highest good, karmically speaking, for this situation to disappear from our lives, or maybe we weren't ready. It doesn't matter what we thought, because how we evaluated this brought us into a state of hopelessness or very, very, very faint hope, where from the blaze there was just a tiny little spark, a cinder that remained. And that also meant that we kind of stopped focusing on it. We just gave it up or gave it into the divine hands. We might have said, well, I cannot solve this. I don't have neither the intelligence, strength, strategic skills, whatever. If it is in your will, universe, please help me resolve it, or I'll just go with the flow. And the moment when you did this, it was the most inspired gesture, because the universe did work on that in the background. It was, of course, invisible to you. You didn't see how certain connections or correlations were made. But this week, that is exactly what you're gonna advance with. Because the Emperor and the Star reversed represents that it is within your power to turn that hopeless situation which you had to abandon, or maybe it abandoned you. You have the power to turn it around and to fulfill it, actually. Not just to spark up hope again, but actually to solve it, to live it, to do it, to find completion. And as I said, even the simple fact that maybe options appear, you can rationally and logically build up a safe and sound plan. Someone offers or promises to help, or something just pops up in your life which gives you an opportunity, opens the door for you. That is already enough to, catapult you into this Emperor vibe, this Emperor frequency, where you can build, you can negotiate, you can make important decisions. The power is in your hands, and you can do whatever you want with it. For other people, this also has a different nuance to it, where that Hermit reversed the Magician and Nine of Pentacles, especially if you have a business, or if you are working in anything like freelance, and you have to do your finances, you have to manage your money, your income, etc. This can be a very, very good energy of prosperity, new connections, new clients, new customers, new offers, new collaborations, something to make you truly independent and proud of what you're doing, proud of what you're having in your life, proud of what you're creating, that Nine of Pentacles. And even those people who are really not focused on their material life, because it's okay, it's stable, there's no problem with it, this energy can be used in another area of life where there are obstacles. So even though this Nine of Coins energy is material, even the material side is just a reflection, or better said, manifestation of someone's self-worth. So when the self-worth and the way you basically judge yourself and your situation, when that gets a massive improvement, regardless if it's like an inner force triggering it, or if it's just a divine blessing guiding you there, or doing something inside of you which strengthens this side of your being, well, it always turns out as a blessing, as something positive, as a celebration, as good fortune, or, some positive things always happen, regardless in which area of our lives our self-worth becomes stronger and more magnetic. And also for everyone who's into spiritual practices, magic, metaphysics, manifestation, parapsychology, this can be a really, really good week to do your thing and allow your inner power, the power of your soul, mind, spirit, emotions, whatever your power source is, or whatever your path, whatever tools your path gives you, basically. This is gonna be such a good week to work, to manifest, to transmute, alchemize, ask for divine help, guidance, manifestation, whatever, synchronicities. It is a really, really good week for magic and magical practices. Now the other cards do reflect divine guidance, as in basically the instructions that this energy is being handed down to us with. And we have the Five of Water clarified by the Ace of Cups reversed. Now this is really, really significant and suggestive because this Five of Water represents a huge spiritual, maybe emotional as well, disappointment that really affected our lives in maybe just the recent past, not going back further than the past 5 years. For some people, it can just be 5 months, where either, a side of spirituality that we were practicing, or a person who we really trusted and loved and considered to be our soulmate, or it could be just life, the course of life, or the world, or basically everything put together really, really disappointed us because we perceived it as extremely unjust and unfair, leaving us to think or question, is there truly any justice in the universe, in the divine? Is life truly just always unfair and there is never a fair moment? And this might be either because something really, really good, commendable, like something when we truly lived by example or made a massive sacrifice, or we saved someone, we sacrificed for someone, we believed in something or someone with every fiber of our beings, or we made some charitable gestures, something anyway really, really uplifting and positive and inspirational, motivational, which would make us like really, really good examples of a spiritual person, a loving and kind person. So something really big that we did either didn't really produce any reaction, any, let's say, karmic echoes. For example, good karma, or someone who we trusted really, really disappointed us, and that left a massive scar inside. And that moment might have taken away a little bit of our power to manifest and use magic and, just to believe in the quantum nature of the universe and do stuff with it. Because at that moment when it happened, regardless of what this disappointment was, for some people it can even be within their careers, finances, jobs, talent, skills, relationships, friends, family. It can be absolutely any area of life, but the disappointment had to have a massive impact on you. So the moment when that disappointment took place, it wasn't any kind of bad karma, or it wasn't any kind of divine injustice. It was basically to give you enough time and, your own timing, which for some people can be even years, for you to see the truth of why certain big gestures cannot be rewarded instantly. And also, this disappointment had to serve you like a really powerful karmic lesson that even positivity, even the great, like the Christic gestures basically, when we save someone's life or we turn around someone's dark fate or we do something really, really big and important in the world, the excess of good intention can sometimes lead to a really, really dark outcome. Because we can only sacrifice anything, even energy, even life, even, you name it, when we are in its possession, when we own it, when we have it, when it is ours. But when we don't have it, and we still choose to do it, even if it's from the highest good and the most pure intent, we're basically borrowing from the universe and that access of energy, power, whatever we alchemize it into, may it be money or emotion, magic, intent, whatever it was. Well, we just borrowed it. It was never ever ours. So it cannot lead to instant good karma. The universe has to translate what we did into a certain kind of frequency that can leave an echo. So that moment of disappointment, whatever that was, returns into your life, but this time to give you completion, to finally give you that moment of righteousness, of fairness, of justice. May it be the reward, the recognition. Whatever disappointed you is gonna be healed right now. So that theme, that person, that moment, whatever it was in your past that really broke your heart, is returning to be resolved this time. And the resolution of that, or just the sheer promise, the opportunity, the option for you to instantly resolve it, or you being able to just see that the universe and the karmic forces have returned into your life, offering you that which you really desired and needed, that is already enough to activate the energy of the Empress and the unlimited power of the divine feminine energies within us, regardless of your gender. This is where your inner Venus and also the moon, the core of your soul, is energized and activated, and that gives you a totally different kind of magnetism, where you see the gardener, which is the Empress in this oracle deck. That is the expression of Venus. The earthly expression of the divine feminine, where the High Priestess, the clarifying card, is the unconscious part, the not manifested part of the divine feminine. And that is really, really good news for all of us, because that always represents manifestation. The Empress, the physical Venus, is very material, down-to-earth kind of manifestation, where the High Priestess is the manifestation of the unconscious patterns, which influences our lives more emotionally. Like the emotional feedback we get from others, for example, the connections and relationships, communication which enter our lives, when they enter, how they enter, maybe the coincidences, the synchronicities, the timing. That is the ethereal, that is a subtle expression of the divine feminine. So either way, this energy means action, it means healing, it means, crystallizing a very, very healthy sense of self-worth. And all because that event from the past returns into our lives to be resolved. And when it is resolved, when we consciously and both unconsciously are faced with the resolution, are faced with the outcome, we have a sense of completion and closure. Well, basically our inner world, our inner mechanism is almost like rebooted, refreshed, cleansed, as in the state where we feel so very guided, competent and confident that we can begin anew, we can create again, we can be ourselves again, we can live and taste and enjoy life again, regardless of what's outside. And this is also one of the big reasons why we have to detach this week from the outside. Because in this moment in time, the outside might not really want us to embrace, enjoy, and taste all of life's pleasures. Because the collective is not able to quite do this because of the problems. And that might kind of lead us feeling at least a little bit maybe selfish, maybe egocentric, maybe ignorant to other people's pains and problems, so to speak. But this is one of those weeks when we have to do exactly this and just forget all judgment, especially self-judgment. And this resolution is the 9 of Wands reversed, which is such a really symbolic energy, because the 9 of Wands in upright position, well, the basic symbolism is strength in opposition. When you're defending yourself, your life, your sovereign will, your principles, your ideals, your philosophies, your worldview from anything that might challenge it. It can also represent when life gets so very hard that we are still fighting, but we're also wounded and fatigued and tired, but we have no choice but to keep up the resistance, to keep on surviving. And that's absolutely fine, but the pressure becomes, greater each and every second, each and every day, until it would finally crumble us, break us. And that crumbling and breakdown might have already happened in the recent past for some people. Yet that is also how the most precious stones like diamonds are formed by nature. So that was like an alchemical transmutation process where sometimes the formula to transmute this and this into gold, into a much greater purified expression, well, it takes pressure. Sometimes pressure is in the recipe. So life will just find ways to pressure us because all of us have vulnerabilities, and it will hit the nerve, but not as an act of cruelty, not as an act of, unkindness, but rather, if that's what the recipe says it's needed, well, it has to provide it for our greater spiritual good. And the pressure was definitely on in the very recent past, and for some people even the past 9 months. But now when the 9 of Wands is reversed, well, on one hand, it does represent that we can no longer put up the fight, the resistance. We can no longer stand in opposition, but it's absolutely okay this time because the pressure is taken off of us. We can rest, we can lick our wounds, but not as someone who loses the fight, but someone who already triumphed and won the fight. So when you are a winner, you might have everything that you aimed for, your purpose might be completed, but your energy is still exhausted, it is still consumed, so you just have to regenerate yourself, and that is basically not an option. And it is this regeneration that both the gardener and the high priestess represent. The gardener is physically, emotionally, psychologically, and the high priestess is spiritually and unconsciously. So this is a really powerful healing energy where this is one of those rare weeks where it's exactly manifestations of what we need that are going to provide this regeneration and healing, and not necessarily us forcing it, if this makes sense. That's why it can be such a big surprise for some people, because they might already tried with everything that they could imagine and it wasn't really working. As I said, that disappointment. So they might have said, well, okay, I surrender, whatever has to happen happens, I'm no longer gonna focus on it. And they will find it very surprising that the universe invites them back this week to go on to focus on it, to go back to investing certain energies, intentions, mental energy, for example, into it. And very, very quickly, almost instantly, things will start to happen, and that will lead to this powerful regeneration, personal clarity, and just having what you asked for, having what you need, and truly being able to cut off the past and start living your life. Well, this is what the universe wanted to share with me this week, and this is what I also have to share with you. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, bye for now.